Musicians are notoriously bad at business, and if that's you, ignoring the business side of things could end your music career before it even gets started. I know because it almost happened to me, and in this video, I'm going to give you 3 things that changed how I earn money from music completely. To start, I want to explain why most business advice feels completely irrelevant to your life as a musician. It's a little bit like looking at a map to a city that you're not in. The directions might be perfect, they're just for someone else in a different city. Most business advice isn't designed for musicians. It's designed for people who got into their field to make money. And musicians don't generally do that. You got into music because you love it, because something about it gets you in a way that nothing else does. So when someone tells you to build your personal brand or a funnel or become a content creator or think about your offer or value proposition, it feels really alien. So you do what kind of makes sense, you ignore it. I did the same thing for years. I was gigging, teaching a few students here and there in schools and privately, and every time someone mentioned the kind of business side of music, I just kind of switched off because that's not why I picked up the drums. But what I didn't realize at the time was that it wasn't that I was bad at business, it was that I'd been shown the wrong version of it. You're not actually bad at business. You've just been trying to play the wrong game. Musicians are terrible at traditional business, but you're naturally brilliant at something that most business people spend years trying to learn. Think about what you actually do as a musician. You're a performer. You train to get good at a skill set that makes people feel something. You take someone in the audience who's never played a note in their life and you get them to a place that they couldn't get on their own. That's not a soft skill. That's exactly what people would pay serious money for. The best people at doing this, think of them like coaches, for instance, aren't the ones with the best sales or marketing funnels. They're the ones who can listen, who can adapt and get results out of people, which is essentially what you've been doing your whole career. You just haven't been paid like it. Back when the pandemic hit, I lost my teaching job overnight here in London. I was teaching kids at a local music school, kids who didn't really want to be there. And just like that, it was gone. And I had about 3 weeks to figure out how to pay my rent, or I was flying back home to Australia. So I did something I'd been putting off for months. I actually went all in on building an online coaching program for drummers. And the weird thing was the way that I did it, it didn't really feel like business. It felt like music. I wasn't running ads or building funnels or doing hardcore sales. I was finding people who had a specific problem on the drums, figuring out if I could actually help them, and then having real conversations with those people. That was it. And within 2 years, that approach made me over $200,000. And more importantly, it gave me the freedom to only take the gigs that I actually wanted. It really set me up with the stability to focus on my playing career here in London, which ultimately led to me landing one of my dream gigs on a theatre show in London's West End. That's what changes when you stop trying to do business the way you've been told to. And looking back, it came down really to 3 things that changed how I earn from music completely. Tip 1, your knowledge is worth more than your time. Think about how most musicians make money. You gig, you get paid for that night, right? You teach, you get paid for that hour. You do some session work, you get paid for the session. Every single one of those has the same problem built into it. You're trading time for money. And the ceiling is obvious, right? There's only so many hours in a day. So no matter how good you get, you're still essentially just swapping time for money. The thing you've spent years getting good at, other people desperately want to learn how to do. And not just the playing, right? The way you practice, the way you think about music, the way you can break something complicated down into something simple so you can learn it. That knowledge has real value. And there are people out there who will pay serious money to learn from someone who's actually done it. And I'm not talking about cheap lessons or building a course or YouTube videos or anything. I'm talking about a real person who gets on a call with you. You figure out what they're struggling with, where they're stuck, and what helps them get unstuck. This is coaching, right? And it pays completely differently to anything else I've described. because you're not charging them for an hour of your time. You're charging for a result that you're working towards. Results are worth a lot more than hours. So if you want to figure out what the next step actually looks like for you, that's what I've designed Musician Freedom for. It's a free community for musicians who want to build something sustainable to support your music career. The link's down below, so come and check it out. Tip number 2, the best marketing you'll ever do is a good conversation. When most musicians think about marketing, you probably picture ads, right? Or content calendars, or posting on Instagram, TikTok a billion times a day. But think about how you got most of your gigs, most of your work, your students, your sessions. I'll bet almost none of it came from a campaign, right? Probably came from someone you knew, a recommendation, a conversation after a gig, someone who met you at a jam night and maybe passed your name along. That's networking, and it's essentially marketing, and you've been doing it your whole career without actually calling it that. The only difference now is doing it a bit more intentionally. I didn't actually run any ads to get my first several dozen clients. I just found specific people who had a specific problem, and I figured out if I could actually help them, and I talked to them like a human being. That's it. You already know how to connect with people, and if you apply it with a bit of intention, bit of a framework, it's way more powerful than any ad campaign that you could run. Tip number 3 is to build one income stream that doesn't require you to perform. The musicians who last aren't always the most talented. They're just the ones who stay in the game long enough. That's it. That's the whole thing. Longevity is everything in the music industry. Whatever you're working towards, gigging, recording, performing, or building something, none of it matters if you can't afford to keep going. And the thing that ends most music careers isn't a lack of talent. It's a bad month or a dry spell, or it's a string of canceled gigs that wipes out your income, and then suddenly you're questioning everything and thinking about getting a real job. So whatever else you do, build one thing that earns you money when you're not on stage. Not 10 different diversified income streams, one. Because when that exists, the slow periods, they stop becoming a crisis, right? You stop taking gigs that you hate just because you need the money, and you stop making those decisions from desperation. You can be a little bit more strategic with your career. And when you stop doing that, music really starts to feel like yours again. And that's what'll keep your career alive long enough to actually take it somewhere. If you want to know exactly one way to build that income stream from scratch, the whole process step by step, go and watch this video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.